Morning and welcome to this part 2 of the Bentley concept car. And right, where did we get to yesterday? Okay, so we were just finishing off the top, but we were trying to get it done quickly, and I think we should probably continue that. So let's, not that we've got loads of time, but let's pretend we've got to get this done quickly and get this done quickly, shall we? So I'm going to do the bonnet. We've got a center line there, so we can just delete those. We've got B surfaces on the bonnet, so yes, we can select the bottom, we can delete that, and I think it still looks like it has more. Oh no, it's got a little air outlet in there, so we'll leave that. Let's see if we can select this bit. Yes, we can, so we'll delete that as well. Let's quickly put on a mirror modifier, make sure clipping is on. Let's turn everything else on. So that's the edge. Oh no, actually, so the bonnet is going to be an island on the inside there, which is unlike a lot of the stuff that I do. Okay, yeah, so what we'll do here with that, we'll have this line, it will continue to here like this. So actually, how do you open the boot or the tailgate? That's interesting, isn't it? Looks like we've got a non-opening, although I guess the middle bit will be open, so let's stick with that. So actually we need to build this area first before we can build this bit in the middle. So let's just isolate this. I guess we need the bonnet, so we've got a center line to work to. And I think what I'd do as well is if I just select all, let's go to X-ray mode, let's tries to quads. Let's see if we need to make any adjustments to this. Change that to 180, let's change that to 1.5, and it doesn't make any difference. And it's actually quite a nice layout anyway, so we'll leave it as it is. We're going to get rid of the rogue vertices, which is these ones. Let's merge that one to that one, make sure auto merges on up here. We're going to delete those. And let's continue down here. Delete those, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one there. Let's see what's going on here. Let's delete that and that one. And we've got one there as well. Okay, good. So now we can grab that one. Okay, so it looks like we can select that bit. And then we can grab that, slide it over. Again, make sure auto merge is on. Then we can grab the center line. We can extrapolate, separate that. So we've got a center line to work to. Then let's extend that curve over like that, so it's aiming towards the back. Let's do another section there like that. So this is going to be our theoretical that we're going to be working to. So let's snap that to that section there. So now what we're going to do, we're going to lower this so it follows roughly that line. And then we're going to make sure everything matches up nicely. So let's just grab that as well. Let's separate that, and then let's grab our center line again, like so. And then let's isolate that. So this is the center line here. We'll just check that by putting on the grid. So I'm going to use that as my guide. So that's the center line. We've got quite a lot of vertices going on there, and that's because of this feature here, I guess. or is it, oh, that's hidden underneath there anyway. So we've got those there. If we use subdivision modification on here, we could probably get rid of some of these, but for now, let's just focus on our center line. Let's grab that center line and this one, isolate those, and let's raise these and lower that one. So what I'm trying to do here is I want the peak to be somewhere around here rather than back there. And so that's where the split line is there. So if we just grab those, so if we grab it from this one, shift and then press that one, then what we're going to do is we're going to just shear those up. So shear upwards like so, making sure that we don't have a disconnect here, which I think we're pretty good. Looks pretty good there, the connection. We could probably raise that up just a touch anyway, like so. Then what we're going to do is, I wonder if we just get rid of these just to keep it nice and clean. I'm quite happy with that curve, but it does go a little bit flat there, as you can see. And let me see. Yeah, I think we're gonna simplify these curves a little bit. So let's just select that front bit, select this bit, isolate again, and what we're going to do here is we're going to just get rid probably of those. Let's merge at last, slide that one over, and let's just really oops, yeah, actually let's do that. Let's really simplify this curve so we can make it flow much nicer and more, what's the word I'm looking for here? Constantly. So we've got a nice constant flow there basically. So we've got a nice flat here, and then it curves down towards the back, and then towards the front we've got big, smaller, and these should progressively be getting smaller, which they are, I think. What we don't want is, like, if this one was like that, and then you've got a smaller, got a big edge, small, tiny edge, bigger edge here, blah blah blah. So we want a consistent progression of edges, which I think we do at the moment. Let's just tap that one up a little bit like that, and then what we probably want is a vertex somewhere there, just to give that a little bit of curvature, and then we slide that one over. So we've got the biggest edge here, and then they get smaller as they move towards the front and towards the back. So we can get rid of that guide one now. And then what we're going to do now is we need to snap. We don't need to do that just yet, but we're going to have to snap the bonnet to that curve. So actually let's do that now. So we're going to grab that. So bearing in mind that there's a little feature in here, a little scoop. And let's turn both of these on. And what we're going to do here is, let's just snap those to those like that. We can get rid of those. Let's slide these over, not that one, slide these over like this. Let's grab these and slide these over in this direction. And then let's see, there's going to be a little bit of work necessary here. So we've raised the split line as well. So if we just make sure we're snapping to vertex as well as edge, and then let's snap to that edge, and we're just going to do that as a guide for now, because I think we need to make sure that that's a nice curve there. So let's just grab those like that. So yeah, what's happening here is when it's a curve like this, if we put a subdivision modifier on it, we've got a nice curvature there. But because even though we've snapped to that, we actually know we can snap to the curve with the subdivision modifier on it, and we'll get a nicer curve on this one as well. But we're still going to get, because we've got bunching here and we've got a flat there and we've got a big flat there, we're not going to get as nice a curve as we did with that one. So what we need to do is either copy that exactly, or just try and put a subdivision modifier on this, and then move the edges up, move the vertices up, so that the resulting surfaces follow that better. And it will actually be probably easier just to do the same vertices as we have on that one. So that's what we're going to do. So that one, and actually what we've got here is, because of this scoop, we would have to move these up with it so that it's at the same level as the center line. So these have to go up as well before we start seeing the silhouette of that shape following our guide, which is that one there. So we're going to do a little bit both actually. So let's nudge those up until we get something that looks good. And then of course we've got this little finisher that goes on top there, which basically hide any of the of your sins. So let's nudge these up. Let's have a look from front view. What's that shape doing? Okay, so we've got a little, is that one shape there? It looks, right, what we can do here is we can do our world famous scaling trick. So if you bring in the wheel, let's put cursor to selected, and then let's hide that wheel, and then we can put the cursor, 3D cursor at center. So that's the axis, the center of the axes of the wheels. Then if we go to scene collection and we create an empty, rename that empty scalar. Now with the scalar object selected, select everything, and then first of all let's move origin to 3D cursor, and then let's parent everything to that scalar empty. And now what we can do is, if we wanted to analyze this center line, we could select the scalar and scale everything in X so we can exaggerate the view. So as you can see, this is interesting. What's going on here? I haven't moved that, have we? As we can see here, we've got a well, first of all, you've got inconsistent flow of edges there. So these are going up, and then there's a bit of a dip in here before it goes into the center. What I was expecting to see is something more like that. So this is more of a constant flow. So that's interesting, isn't it? Unless I moved it by accident. If we have a look at the reference, and we need to add the reference to our scalar. So if we just quickly put that in here, and now we move a scalar inboard. So this is how we receive the file. Not being critical, but wasn't expecting that. Anyway, okay, so let's go back to where we're doing. We were doing this, weren't we? Okay, good. So we're just going to nudge these by eye for now. And we're going to just build that center line, then we can build the surrounding edges, and then we can readjust the center line. Let's just have a quick look at, so we're making stuff up here as well. Okay. So this washes out when it gets to the back. So what we need is for these surfaces to be flush when it reaches the back there. So if we just grab those, extrapolate them backwards, and let's go up. Again, this is just very rough and quick and dirty. So by the time it gets to the back, what we are hoping to see is that to be flush like that. And that's pretty close to where we want it to be in Z. Let's just move it up a little bit further like that. So that's what it's going to do. And I wonder if we want it a little bit more flusher. So if we scale in Y, and okay, so yeah, we're going to leave that for now. We're going to build this area here first, and then we're going to match the bonnet to that. So let's go and isolate these two parts, isolate this, move these down like so, and that one, tap tap, tap tap. We've got a little bit of an inflection there. And then we're just going to nudge all of these so we've got a nice constant flow. So we're going to use our scaling technique. Front view, let's scale it down like this. And we're just going to just move these wholesale. Like so. So we've got a nice gradual tapering. So as it comes towards the outside, it's probably going to go out or up like that. And then if we just nudge, what we'll do here actually is we'll scale in Z. So we're looking at this flow here basically. So at the moment it's dipping at the center line. So if we just nudge these down a little bit more, as you can see here, we've got a little bit of a inflection there as well. So if you just grab those, move those down like this, and over here, looks like we've got a tiny little kick there. But again, I think that was on the original car. So as long as we're no worse, then I think we'll be all good. And then let's grab the final row. Let's nudge those down as well. Let's grab these. Let's scale down in Z, like so. And let's just tap. And let's see how this is looking. So we're looking for consistency basically. So if these ones are tapering outwards, then the next ones up should also be tapering up. So we've got a little bit of if we just increase the scaling a little bit more, so we've got a little bit of a zigzagging here. So at this point here, I have just moved that one up, but that one there is in line with that one, and over here it's below the last one. So we're going to just nudge it up. We're going to nudge that one up a little bit as well for consistency. And then if they start tapering out over here, that's okay, as long as it's consistent. We're just going to fix these. And over there, it looks like it flips over on itself, which could be okay, I guess. Although not really actually. So what we're going to do here is we're going to nudge this one down and this one up, just so that the rearmost edge is the lowest, like so. And then let's have a look at that inside view. Let's go scale, change that to 1. Okay, good. Right, so we now need to fix all of these surfaces so that they flow around this corner nicer. So actually what we can do here as well is we can fix this edge here as well. And I think we might add, let's have a look. Might we add, yeah, so what we're going to do here, we're just going to add a temporary bevel weight to this edge. so it's easier to work with. So we're going to grab those, put a bevel weight on that edge, grab those, oops, not those, grab those and that and these. So these will all have a bevel edge on those as well. Bevel edge one, slide that over, slide. We're going to go ahead and just grab all of these, slide them up, bevel weight one on there, and then grab the next ones over as well. So what this allows us now to do is work with one edge instead of three, and we'll get a perfect, consistent bevel across this very important feature line, which goes all the way from the front over here to, of course, the back. So let's just grab that and see how we make that work. We could and should, I guess, let's try adding a subdivision modifier on that. Let's turn off optimum display. And let's turn that off. Okay, so I'm going to try and simplify some of this. So we're gonna grab this edge here, slide it over. I'm gonna slide it back that way, and so that's helped a little bit there. And then what we can do here is we can we can get rid of this flange. We'll build it when we're ready. Let's move that one up as well. That one goes over like so. Probably get rid of that as well for now. And there's a little bit of this flange here as well, so we can get rid of that as well. Slide up like so. This one didn't quite work out, so let's just delete those. That's good. Right, let's do a little bit more simplification, so we can get rid of some of those and those. Okay. Good, right, okay, so let's first work this edge. So we're gonna just make sure it's nice, consistent. So up here is we've got this bowing in this direction, and we've got this little jump up here, then it goes flat and almost going in the opposite direction, then it drops again. So we need all of that to be maybe even on a plane actually. So what we're going to do here is if we grab these two, separate them, find them in our outliner, which is here, and then let's select them. Then let's build a surface from them. Let's turn off mirror. Let's keep subdivision modifier on. Make that one a second selection. Let's scale that in X. Now let's select all. Let's extrude it in X. Let's turn on keep corners. And then we're going to turn on, or we're going to add an edge in there. And then what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and build a curve. We're going to try and build a curve which is an average of all of these vertices there. So something like that. If we just make that a subdivision, let's say 3. So we've got a nice consistent curve there, which we can now use to snap this edge to, and we'll get a beautiful constant curve there. So if we isolate it in this view, so what we can do here, in this view we can see the instant changes while we do the change in top view. So if we go, right, so I did have a shortcut for this, but I've recently accidentally deleted all my shortcuts. So what I want to do is, yeah, so the shortcut for this I believe was Alt F. Alt F. Assign shortcut, Alt F. No faces filled. Okay, so it's assigned to something else. So what we're going to do here is, let's go to key map, and let's see what Alt F is assigned to. Assigned to do faces. So I've made it this context. So actually, let's just undo that because I made that one. Clear filter in the outliner. Not sure about that. Fill. Oh, here we go. Alt F is fill. No, let's delete that. Let's see if that works. Okay, so Alt F. There we go. Okay, good. So if we look down here, I'm going to go Alt F, turn that snapping to face, and if we do G now, if you notice that if I do undo, if you do that again, you'll see that they are now beautifully placed on that plane, and we'll have a beautiful edge there on the inside. And let's see if we could utilize that again on the next edge loop, which is a little bit further out, but let's just try it anyway and see if it's any good. So we're just going to turn off snapping. So we just need to stretch that guide out, or do we pull these in? Actually, let's just quickly work this curve in top view. So actually what we can do here as well is we can keep this on. So as we make these adjustments, they will snap to that plane. But let's turn off the grid on there, or the wireframe. So let's distribute those evenly there like that, and then let's slide these over like that. Let's distribute these. Let's slide these over. So what we're looking for here is a nice consistent offset to this inner curve, or edge row of edge loop rather. So that's looking good. Okay, and let's quickly just distribute. So what I'm doing here, this is going around a corner, so it's good to have balance. So if this edge is similar distance, length as this one, we'll get a good balance. And now we can select that one and distribute those evenly. We can now nudge this one over, maybe like so, and then distribute these evenly like so. Okay, that's good. Now let's just do a little bit of CV manipulation here. We can potentially do a little cleanup there like so. This one there, I wonder if we get rid of this edge and then slide those down about halfway. These are bunched up quite close, so we can get rid of those. Then let's slide them back and out a little bit like that. Slide that one, move that one. That one there is asking to be deleted as well, so let's delete. Doing a little bit of sacrificial deletion there. Thank you very much for sacrificing yourselves there, vertices. That's very good of you. And let's see. Okay, that's looking gooder. Let's see. Let's nudge that one over. Let's nudge that one in there. Right, let's bring everything else back in and see how we're looking. Let's hide that. Okay, looks like we're getting somewhere. Let's delete custom split normal data. Okay, good, right. What was that? Was that a feature there on the back? Okay, so we've got this little pinch there, or like this edge rather. And so that could continue from the front there, couldn't it? But there isn't a dent per se. And actually, where was that? Was that on that edge there? Yes, it was. Okay, so oh, I haven't put my bevel modifier on here yet. So let's bring that in, make that one. Let's change that to white. There's our beautiful sharp edge. So now we're going to work this edge, I think. So if we have a look at the reference, actually, and at this point, I think we can get rid of the additional collection. So let's get rid of rears. Now we can just go reference, and what we're working on. So what this is doing here is we've got one nice constant curve, and then it goes straightens out towards the back, whereas we have a bit of a mess here. So what we're going to do, if we want to achieve a similar sort of feel, we would want to have curve, and then a sort of a tertiary, secondary little fillet in between the two there. So we need to go, let's see, oops, let's slide those over. Let's simplify these a little bit, just temporarily, and see what's going on here. Okay, right, let's get rid of that, and let's see if we can fix this edge here. So we're going to go around the corner. Right, so that's what we need to fix. Okay, how are we going to do this, I hear you ask? Well, let me tell you. Let's try and simplify these a little bit to help. So I'm just getting rid of a few edges and vertices which are not necessarily necessary. Necessarily needed. I.e., if I get rid of them, I don't necessarily lose the shape. And let's distribute these, slide these over, let's redistribute these. Okay, so we've got straightish line here, we're going to have the kick there, and it's going to go back here and then round that corner. So let's turn our subdivision modifier, let's turn off wireframe. Okay, so we're getting somewhere, so let's not worry about the side view just yet. Let's see. Okay, I think this is looking a little bit too long, and then all of a sudden, and this peak is a little bit too far back. So what we're going to do is we're going to just pull these out a little bit to make this a little bit more curved, making sure we don't get too close to the headlamp at the front there. We don't want any sort of pinching around there. Let's slide these over just so we've got a better distribution there around the lamp. Side view there, okay, and slide this one over and a tiny bit out, and this one as well, and this one also. Now we can, let's see, redistribute these. Let's pull this one out, these one out a little bit more. So I think as long as this one doesn't get any closer there, we can do what we want there, really. Okay. And I think now, I think we just need to just tap these out just a little bit like this. There we go, that's better. We need a little bit of a kick there, so I'm going to just slide this one over like that, and then I'm going to redistribute these. Then I'm going to just grab these, and we're just going to scale them just a touch in X, like so, and maybe just slide that over a little bit like that, redistribute these, and then let's see what we've got there. That is much better. Okay, that's nice, that's what we're looking for. And then to fix some of this shading, we need to start looking in side view. So that will be these in side view. So we've got to remember not to mess with these too much. Or actually in side view it doesn't really matter, does it? Okay. And then, okay, so let's grab this and that marker. Let's grab that and isolate it. And then let's fix this side view. And actually side view would be a great one to use our surface there, which we use to flatten those inner ones. So if we just grab that, we duplicate that and then hide it, just so we keep the original. And then let's isolate these. Let's turn on wireframe. And now what we're going to do here is we're going to build a curve which we're going to align those two. So let's grab the front and the back. We're going to snap it, let's say to that one in X and in Z, and then this one here, let's snap that one to, let's say, that one, and then let's pull these out in X so that they're covering all of those. Now what we want to do is we want to create a curve, i.e. this one, which will give us a nice curve to go from the back to the front or the front to the back. So this does dip down a little bit before going up again. So I wonder if actually we start, do we need to raise these a little bit and then it's flattened? Because this one here, these are shooting down quite a lot. So if we go, right, let's add a little bit more geometry to this. So if we just do a bevel here like so, let's accelerate it towards the front like that. So we've got a nice bit of acceleration, and then towards the back, let's see if we grab that and we go to there. We want the peak to be somewhere in the middle. So let's just drop those down a little bit like that, and let's see if it was to do that, what would we think about that? What would we think about that? I think that would look quite good. And the good thing about this is you can do it quite quickly. So if we just turn on face project, select these, looking in this view, we go G to snap them all, as you can see that there, and it does kick up a little bit there towards the back, although I do think it does kick up anyway, so we might keep that. Let's have a look at the, yeah, so there's a little bit of a kick there actually, so that's good. This goes down and before it kicks up, so we're going to keep that. That's very good. Where's that guide? Where is our guide? That's not it. There it is. Right, so let's hide that one. And actually I'm wondering if I want to have more of a kick there, i.e. if I move these down a touch. So select, turn off snapping, grab these two, and we have more of a kick. So we'll probably snap these to it, and then it'll start to kick up there. And then over here, I was wondering if maybe we pull these up a little bit, just to give you a little bit more of a slope towards the front, and raising the center line about this point here, which is good. Okay, so let's grab, let's see, we only want to snap to about this point. So now if we isolate these two objects, select that, That's good, it's still selected. So we select all of these, select all of these. We look down here and we snap. And let's just nudge that one down a touch. Let's have a look at the result. Let's grab that, hide it, and then let's have a look. So we're looking just at that crease there, that edge, that sharp edge there, which we can make even sharper if we really want by changing this to 2. That's a bit too much actually, so let's change it back. Yeah, so we're looking at that edge. How's it look? It looks good, I think. Are we happy with where that peak is? Could that peak go back a little bit? I think it could. So let's bring back this, and then let's make snapping on. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to nudge the peak of this curve back a little bit. So we're going to do that by just grabbing those and then just doing a little shear like so. And then let's have a look, see how that looks. Let's bring everything back in, hide that, turn snapping off so we don't get any mishaps. And then let's have a look at let's have a quick look at the wheels. Are they the same wheel? Looks like they are. Let's have a look at them shaded up. Yep, they look the same. And so we're going to get rid of one of them, but which one? Let's get rid of the front one. Right click, delete hierarchy. Let's bring everything back in and let's mirror the wheels just so we get a better balanced result. And let's quickly grab a empty, put it in the middle of the wheel. Let's rename it to rotates. And you'll see why later. And actually we've not done that right. So what we need to do is put cursor to selected and then grab that rotates object and put it to selection to cursor. That's good, okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to isolate these objects like so. Let's select everything, put origin to 3D cursor. Then we're going to put a mirror modifier on this object and we're going to make it mirror about the scalar empty, which is that one. And then with that still selected, we select all and we go to shift. No, we do not. We go to Control and L and we go copy modifiers to copy that wheel over like so. Let's bring everything back in and we can see how the car is shaping up with the wheel on the opposite side for balance purposes. Right, let's see. I think at this point we can also get rid of that background as well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to shader options. Let's select our ground plane. Let's open up another window and this one have the world. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to put that in there and let's have a nice lighter colored background. Or do we want a darker background? Maybe we want darker. Let's go darker this time. So let's have a darker background and then let's grab the ground plane. Let's delete this node. Let's put a color ramp there and let's get an ambient occlusion node there. Let's chuck that in there and then this in here. And let's change this one to the same color as the background. And now you won't see the ground, all you'll see is the shadow coming from the car, especially if we turn off the grid. There we go. And if we turn off the wireframe from that ground plane as well, you get an even better effect like so. And actually at this point what I would like to do is put a subdivision modifier on that, and then we'll have a nice circle ground plane which will give us a better reflection on the car. Let's make sure that we turn off those options there. Now let's have a look, see how we're looking. Turn off overlays, and that's really starting to take shape. Very good. Okay, so we just need to fix this area here, then we need to fix the bonnet on the inside there, and we just need to do a little, we need to rejoin these actually, because this was all one component, wasn't it? So it's good that we're quite close there still. Unhide. Okay, so what we're going to need to do there, we're going to need to make sure that we've got a similar amount of vertices going from that top bit to that bottom bit with our subdivision modifier turned on. So over here is a split actually, so we can use that to our advantage. Actually, we could probably do that everywhere. So the only place where it does need to be the same is where there is no split line. Which is actually, hold on, where's that split line? Oh, so that's not a split line, that's just a crease. That's interesting. Is that really a crease or is it a split? There's got to be a split line somewhere. Let's ask good old Google. Bentley, what's this car called? EXP. Is it that? Oh, it's this one. Right, is there a split line there, please? Open image, a new tab. Great, a nice shaky photo, which does not tell us anything. But it does look like it's just one big piece there, which is, I don't know how they would have made that. Right, do you have a picture which is not all shaky, flaky, shaky like that? I mean, it is a concept car, so maybe it is just one big piece. It looks like it is. Wowzers, okay. So we need to fix that properly. There's no cheating here, I'm afraid. So we need to make sure that these are the same across here. So when we apply that subdivision modifier, so I think we're going to have to take off the subdivision modifier and then work with that, and then if we need one later, then we add a subdivision modifier. So we're just going to have to make sure that it looks good without a subdivision modifier. And if I say subdivision modifier one more time, then subdivision modifier, I'm going to start to think that that word doesn't exist. Subdivision modifier. Right, okay, let's fix this wheel arch on this side. We can get rid of that one. Let's slide these up, make sure auto merge is switched on. Let's slide these over like that, and then let's put a bevel on there. Let's turn that bevel modifier on. Let's have a look what's going on here. We've got a bit of a funny shadow going on. So if we clear custom split normals again, and if we now add a weighted normal, that will fix that. Doesn't quite fix that though, does it? Why not? What we could actually do there is we could just rip those off and it'll fix this. Or, I wonder why it's doing that. Why on earth would it be doing that? So if we, let's have a look at the normals on those edges there, shall we? On those, yeah, so I don't understand why this is causing a shading issue there. There's no difference between there and there. I guess it is on the edge. I wonder if we go set from faces, if we undo that. Okay, I mean, if we tear that, I'm sure it will fix it. Yeah, it does fix it, but it would have been nice to know why it was doing that. Anyway, let's apply that, and then let's fix this wheel arch. So actually, to fix that wheel arch, we need to join those again. So let's go join by distance, and oh, it's not doing it anymore. That's interesting, isn't it? Oh, I think it was the weighted normals that was causing. Oh, was it? No, it wasn't. Okay. Looks like a what's it called? A something in the matrix. What is it they say in the matrix? Anyway, right, let's just, what we're going to do here, really digressing there, we want a nice consistent flat there. So at the moment, actually it won't be consistent because it's bigger on the back. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a nice consistent taper from rear to back. Let's just hide those so we don't see any of the upper faces there, like that. Let's turn those normal arrows, is that what they're called? Display split normals displayed as lines. Okay, lines, let's get rid of those lines. Let's just nudge these over so we don't see that, so we can judge better what's going on with that edge. We still see a little bit of roof there, which is in the way. Actually, so what we can do here as well is we can delete one half and turn on a mirror modifier, make sure clipping is on. Actually, we can get rid of or separate that. So we just got the wheel arch wells in isolation. Let's grab all of those. Let's scale those up in Z. Let's get rid of some of those which aren't giving us anything. Slide those over. There we go, that looks better. So we don't see those, the roof of those, of the wheel arch well anymore. And now we can make a better judgment on how the wheel arch looks. And let's put these into a new collection, and let's call that collection helpers. Enter, create. Let's make that red and turn or disable the rendering. Let's have a quick look and see how long we've been on for. Make sure it hasn't been too long because we need to do some stuff today. Plus, we don't want to bore you too much. Okay, so right, so yeah, we're going to have a nice consistent taper from front to back. So if we grab that one, we scale up in Z, and then let's just nudge these over like this. And let's grab this one and this one. Let's distribute evenly. This one and this one distribute evenly. And then this one and this one, and then this one and that one. And if we look at that, that looks fairly constant. I think maybe these could come out a touch like that. And these could potentially slide back in this direction just so it leads into this, into the front bit. In fact, maybe a little bit further. And now what we're going to do, so this line goes into this one, and then let's redistribute these. So we've got just a little bit of lead in at the right at the end there. And let's see how that's looking. Okay, so that's looking good. I'm happy with that. Now we've just got to fix the neighbors, which are these ones here. So again, we're looking for a nice consistent offset to this one. So actually what we're going to do here is we're going to create a straight edge there. I'm going to slide those. We're going to do the same thing over here. And now we can grab these and these, and those can go up like that. And as I said, we're looking for a nice consistent offset to this edge here. So just moving those like so, and let's have a quick look at that, shall we? So in side view, it certainly looks good. Let's see, let's just slide that one over. Let's have a look in top view. Let's use our world famous scaling trickery. Scale 0.1, and it looks like if we have another 3D viewport down here, let's look in front view over here. What you generally look for is the center to be the widest part of the car, and it looks like here, if we just extrapolate that, it looks like it's a little bit wider here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to nudge those back in, get in your lane and you, and now we can get rid of that guiding edge there. And then let's go into that top view again, and again we want this to be the widest point, and as it goes out towards the sides it's tapering inboard. And again, as I say, you want a nice consistent flow of vertices and volumes, which looks a little bit narrower over here. So let's just nudge those in a little bit, and those and those. So we've got tapering from thin to thick up here, and then again down on this side. And I still think that these could go in a little bit further like so. Let's move on to the next one. So again, this will be our widest point, and it's tapering inwards in X towards the back here. And we're going to do the same thing here. We want a nice consistent flow. Make sure we always go with the flow. Be like water and go with the flow. And talking of water, I'm just going to very briefly mute my microphone so I can have a little sip of water. But before I do that, what I'm going to do is just quickly finish these. I started, so I finished. So again, this is the widest point here with this one, which is at Y0, and then we're just going to make them taper inwards towards the front and the rear. We're going to have a little look here where that one can go, so that one can come out a little bit further like that, and it's going to eventually shoot into sort of the center line of this headlamp, side lamp. And there we go. So we've got a nice consistent movement of curves from the widest point up here down into the center of that. So let's just move that one out a touch. And over here, I wonder if this wants to come out just a little bit, and maybe even that one. And that's going to be the widest point, so let's leave that. Right, let's turn off our world famous scaling 1. Let's turn on some wheels, let's turn on some shading, and let's maximize that. And I'm going to mute for a couple of seconds while I very quickly hydrate. One moment, please. It's very important to stay hydrated, so I had a bit of water there. Right, where do we get to? Let's have a look at this using a different shader so we can see the highlights. So there's a little bit of, so we're not using a subdivision modifier on this, so we're going to see if we can get away with just polygon modeling on this, which can be a little bit less forgiving if you're working in low poly, which we are. But let's see what we can do here. So you can clearly see that there's a dent there. So we're going to use this tool here, which is shrink flatten, which again, I've deleted my shortcuts. Extrude vertices, what does that do? Why would I want a shortcut for that? I would not. So let's go key map, and we want this one, shrink flatten, to be Alt E, so assign shortcut Alt E, and then let's have a look at what else that is assigned to. So Alt E, and it's also assigned to extrude somewhere, wasn't it? So where was it? So that's what I've just created, and then somewhere extrude, there we go, mesh. So if we delete that one, now if we close this, if we go Alt E now, it will summon this command, which is what we want. Now we're going to look in a unfavorable view, which is somewhere like this, and we're just going to nudge that out normal to the surface like that. Let's nudge it a little bit out as well, maybe a little bit further actually. And actually what I've just noticed as well is that we've got a bit of a S going on here, so we're just going to move this out in X, and perhaps a little bit there as well. And then let's slide that one over like that, and then let's move that in normal again a little bit. So we've got a nice gradual movement of surfaces there, and we've also managed to planarize that surface a little bit better, which will give us better results. Then what we need to do over here is we've created a bit of a dent here as well by doing that. So we're just going to grab this one, move it normal, and perhaps this one a little bit, and this one, and this one. Let's nudge that one over a little bit, and that one. Actually, let's nudge that one over a lot, like that. And that one over like that. So we've got two triangles there, which we could potentially change to two squares like that, if we wanted to. So that's fixed those surfaces a little bit there as well, so that's good. Let's go back to here and fix these. Just make sure that these are on nicer. So we fixed this row of edges in the top view, however, we did not address side view. So if you go, when we do our famous scaling technique, change that to 0.1, let's go to side view, let's turn off that wheel, and as you can see here, got a bit of a funny there, which will definitely be causing us some inflections in the highlights, and we're just going to nudge these so we've got a nicer flow as well. We're just going to move those up, move these down, move those like that, so we've got a nice consistent flow, as I said before. And I'll say it again. And now we can start looking at this area here. So let's have a look. So this is a feature. So we've got a negative there, which I guess we will wash out towards the back. So let's see how we do that, shall we? So if we grab, I'm just going to grab these because I've noticed there's a bit of a funny wobble there as well. So we're just going to nudge these out a touch, and that one in a touch. Right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to isolate that outer edge and all of these here, I guess. So we know if we isolate those, so we're relatively happy with this edge, and we're relatively happy with this edge. We know we've got a concave feature in here, which we need to wash out up here somewhere. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use, actually what's going on back there? So we just need to drop these as well actually. So if we add these to our selection, select inverse and then hide those. What we need to do first, just quickly, is lower that one. So we've got a flow from the back to the side, like so. And then it looks like it raises a little bit towards the sides, like so. That's a bit of a big jump there. So let's get rid of that. Let's fix that. So now we're just going to grab all of those, nudge them down. Then we're going to go and let's shear these up like so, and then let's shear these ones down. So we've got a consistent, what we do have there unfortunately is a twist in surfaces, which we don't want. So I think we're going to, we need to move these down a little bit further here, I think. So these will go down even further to follow this a little bit better. So then at least this will be a constant, and then we can go from constant to under so basically, how do I describe this? So this shape here is constant, and then over here it kind of, it twists, if that makes sense. So it twists so that on here it's going in this direction, and then up here it's going in that direction. So towards the outside here is lower, whereas here towards the outside is higher, which I don't think is very desirable, to be honest, but let's just fix this so it's at least consistent, because at the moment we've got a massive jump there. So as long as we fix that first, then we can start finessing. So I'm just going to adjust these so that they flow as best they can, and then let's now move on to these. So we've got a constant offset there. This one looks like it's tapering up a little bit there, which we have decided to get rid of. And then that upper one, that's going to drop. So now all of these, scale Z, and then let's move them down. And we're going to do the same thing with those, scale Z down, and then let's do scale Z down here from this one, and then let's shear it in this view. Okay, and then at this point here we're going to do our world famous scaling, but in this direction. And it's now become very clear that we've got a tapering there, which we want? I don't think we want that tapering like that. So we're just going to grab these, and we're just going to make sure that these flow with the outer edge, which is this one here. So those are going down, tapering down, tapering down, tapering down like that. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so that's a nice constant taper there. Nice. I mean, it's tapering a little bit, isn't it? So let's move those down even further, like so. There we go. Let's not be too shy about it. Let's just move them down like that. Okay, and now let's go side view, select scalar, change that to 1, and then scale it in Y. So we've just nudged those ones in back view up to that point. So now we want them to continue to flow in side view. So if we use that as our guide, so we want all of these to be lower than that one. So they're going to go down like that. So let's grab those, let's shear those like that, and then let's move that one. There we go, I'm starting to get somewhere now. So that's the concave bit over there. So the concave bit is going to wash out. Let's take it right to the back actually. So it's going to wash out as it gets to there. And let's move these up a little bit like that. Slide these, and then that one is closely linked to that one. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make sure, actually what we're going to do is isolate those and just work those in isolation. So that one, oops, that one and that one, isolate, and these should be, as I say, very close to each other. So we're just going to nudge those ones like that, and there we go, like so. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a dip there, which we don't want. Where is that dip? That dip is there. Where is that dip? So it's there. We definitely don't need that. So if we rotate that a little bit like that, make sure we only move up in, actually it doesn't really matter. Let's just fix that curve so we don't have that little dip. There we go, and there's another little dip just there as well, so we're going to fix that. Got a little bit of a flat there. We've got a flat there, and let's just adjust these a little bit as well. Okay, good. Now let's go back into, let's go top view. Let's turn off the scaling, change that to 1. And then let's make a little bit of adjustment to these. So let's make sure that these run nicely with each other as well. So we've got a big gap there, which we obviously want to fix. So let's grab these, distribute evenly, and then these distribute evenly. Let's nudge those over. Let's nudge those, and then let's grab these, and then let's distribute those, and these distribute those like so, and we've got a nice consistent relationship now between these two. How lovely is that? Let's go side view, and we could potentially use our guide patch there from our helpers collection to make sure that they run nicely. So if we just duplicate that, put it into our reference collection, let's rename that reference to Bentley EXP 10 FL, which of course stands for fully leaded, and let's make that collection blue. And now let's isolate these two objects and these, and all we're going to do here is we're going to build a nice curve which we're going to align that edge to. So if we go from somewhere like there all the way to the back, let's go to this one. Let's move this one down. Let's move this one up, something like that. And let's maybe kick that up a little bit. We're going to have a bit of a flat spot there. So let's add an edge loop there. Let's nudge that up. Let's nudge those down. Let's drop it a little bit like that. Let's move those up, and then let's move that one along. I think that's where we're going to try. So let's turn on the snapping. Let's isolate this in this view. And then let's isolate those components again. Now if we select those and we go G, we've got a much nicer side view now. And then let's make sure we're happy with the top view. And let's just nudge those in a bit. Let's nudge these out. Let's nudge those out, and maybe even that one. I wonder if we want these closer to each other. So let's bring everything back in. Let's hide that. And let's have a look. That is quite a nice feature there. Let's see how it washes out here, because it looks like we've got a little bit of highlight issue there. So we do have a triangle, and everyone knows that triangles are no good. So how do we get rid of that triangle? There's already quite a lot of geometry there, and there's not that much geometry there. So the only way to do it, I think, is to add more geometry there, which we don't really want to do. Let's have another look. Can we live with that funny highlight there? If we add a subdivision modifier to it, oh, it's still there. Okay, so we definitely have to get rid of that. Okay, so what is causing that? Let's have a look. Let's turn off snapping. And let's see. So we've got a little bit of a dent going on there, do we? So I think, so we need these two for the feature there. And as we look in this view, we could fix that because it's looking like it's S-ing a little bit there. So it's going in one direction, then it kicks out, which is not desirable in the automotive world community, and people will definitely make comments at you if you make such mistakes. So don't do it. So there we go, that's fixed that. And actually, as we look here, we can see what's causing those funny that bit of highlight there, because and let's fix this as well. Let's just nudge those there. So what I've noticed here again is like that's straight, kicks in this way and then back out. So we're just going to look along those curves, and we're just going to stretch those out like that. So we're just sliding along that one. So double click G and we can slide those out, so that's good. But what I was actually, oh, there's a bit of a funny here as well. What I was actually looking at over here is we've got a bit of a zigzag there, so it goes up, down, which obviously we don't want. And these, so these two edges here are giving us this concave, which we do want at the front, but then at the back is what's causing the issue. So what we're going to do here is we need to make sure that the relationship between these doesn't zigzag up and down. So if we look at it sort of along it like this, if we move these down and maybe that one up as well. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get rid of the zigzagging. So as long as these are going in one direction, it should fix that. So these will be going up and the lowest point will be sort of here. So these are going more like that rather than a zigzag, which is what we had previously. So I'm just going to work in this view for a little bit. And then when I'm relatively happy here, I'm going to start looking in all different directions. So let's nudge those over. We've got a little bit of bunching going on here, which I wonder if we can help. If we just slide those over and move those. So that's helped there a little bit. And then what we've got here is we've got two triangles, and everyone knows that if you've got two triangles near each other, you can get rid of one of them like that. That has obviously given us an an end pole. so which will give us potentially bunching when we turn on the subdivision modifier. But I think it's okay. And let's just have a look if we fix the issue over here. I would say it looks a little bit better, but you can still see this concave feature, which I wonder if we just wash out sooner so it doesn't go all the way up here. So what we're going to do here instead is we're going to just snap these to these, slide these over like that. We're gonna introduce the triangle again, but this time get rid of it by doing that. And over here we can get rid of another row like that, and maybe even twice. Then let's distribute, you know what, let's just move all of these up like this, like that, so they get smaller towards the front. So this one has to go at least to there for it to be consistent. That one should go at least to there, and then this one at least to there. This one to there, and we can get rid of those like that. And then let's move that to there instead of there, and then let's slide these over like that. Let's move this petrol cap over. And then what we can do is we can get rid of, another row like that. I think we've gone a bit too far there actually. Let's move these over. Let's slide these over like that. And then let's redistribute these. Oops, not those. These and these. And these and these, slide these over like that. Then let's move these over like that so we've got a nice constant flow, and then we're going to redistribute those evenly. We're going to, there we go, and okay. And let's move that to there. What else are we going to do here? Okay. Let's see how that looks. So we've washed this out sooner. So these surfaces look better. We've got a little bit of a funny there, which we need to fix. But we've also simplified these surfaces a lot, which is obviously what we want to do. And let's see how we can get rid of this triangle here. Let's try something like this. I don't know if you can hear my stomach rumbling. Rumble in the tummy. Tummy. There we go. Okay, so we've got triangle and triangle there, and then let's see about getting rid of those. So merge at center. How does that look? I'm not sure if we want to redirect those like that, so let's just undo that. We just want that to flow in that direction like that. And let's, right, okay, that's good. I'm not too happy with what's going on here. Here, what can we do to fix this? So do we need all these? That goes round here, goes into that corner, so we could potentially get rid of, Yeah, so we need these. So we can't get rid of that one. That one runs into that corner and also is needed there. I wonder if we can get rid of that one. So if we get rid of that, slide that over a little bit like that, then slide that one over in that direction. And then slide those like that. Okay. There we go, like that. And then those over like that. And those over like that. Would be nice if these flowed around like that, I think. But equally, these are nice to be flowing around there as well. So let's leave those. Let's leave those be. And then I wonder if we go over like that. And those like that. And could we get rid of these? I think we can. Slide those over like that. Redistribute these evenly, and these. Slide those over like that. Slide these over like that, and we could potentially get rid of these as well. Redistribute these, and redistribute these, and these. And let's slide that one up and over. Redistribute these, slide these over, move that one over like that. Okay, that's good. Okay, then what we're going to do here is we're just going to draw a curve straight up like this, and we're just going to nudge these over like that. We're going to go straight line to here, nudge these over, redistribute these, and these, and just make sure these are flowing nicer as well. And we've still got no, this is looking better, but I'm just not sure about what's going on here. So I don't know, I mean, it is a square still at the end of the day, so could be worse. What if we go something like that, making sure that this is flowing nice, then our crease will wash out there. Let's pull these over a little bit like that, and let's finish that off like that. Let's redistribute these and these, and nudge these over, nudge that one, nudge that one, and I'm a lot happier with what was going on here. If we pull these over, pull these over like that, we'll have a better balance there, I think, with those vertices. And now let's have a look with the subdivision on. Okay, that's looking better. That is looking better. We've got a little bit of a funny there, so let's fix this area. So I think we caused this by getting rid of an edge there. So we've got a massive triangle right there in a very prominent area. So what we want to do is somehow fix that. So we need all of this. So I guess all we can do really is add an edge there, which I'm pretty sure we got rid of just a second ago, didn't we? So let's see if there's anything else we can do there. So we're just going to move these Let's see, shall we? Let's see what the problem is here. So, got a triangle there and a flat caused by... Right, so if we just add an edge loop in there and we pull that out normal and slide it over just a touch and then pull that one in just a touch. Let's see if that's fixed it. That has indeed fixed it. Where is our bevel? Why can we not see our bevel very well there, I wonder? Let's apply that. Our bevel should be much more obvious than that. What is going on? Save, turn it off and on. If we change that to 2, definitely tighten it, but maybe too much. Let's change that to 2 as well. And let's see what the actual geometry is doing when we turn it, change it to 1 and 2. Okay, no, that's okay. Right, and now what we need to do is we just need to redistribute these a little bit after that little kerfuffle. So we're just going to redistribute these again, like so. And let's just have a little inspection. Looks like we've got a little bit of a dent just there. But once we apply the subdivision modifier, we can manipulate this area here because we'll have more geometry to play with there. So let's not worry about that too much. Let's not call the doctor just yet. There we go. Okay, that's looking good. Let's nudge that up. And let's nudge those over. Okay, good. So we are relatively happy there. Let's now align the bonnet to that inside line. Actually, let's have a little inspection overall. So that's looking pretty good. We just need to align the bonnet to that. Add a number plate just to make it a little bit more complete. Let's go to our asset browser. Let's go to Mark's assets. Let's go to number plate. This one. And yep, let's rotate that 180 in Z. Let's look in this view. Let's move it over and up like that. Oops, wrong place. And then let's slide it over. See where it intersects. Rotate until it intersects down in a straight line. Move it out. And there's your number plates. That's good. And oh yeah, as I said, let's fix that. Let's fix that bonnet so it lines up with that. Or so it lines up with the neighbouring surfaces. And let's have a quick look at the reference. So that's just a flush condition there. So let's separate that edge, select the edge, select that, let's select that guide center line and the one on the front. Let's isolate these components, and then in top view, make sure so we don't have enough geometry over here. So what we need to do, let's change that to subdivision 3. Then let's add some more geometry here. Let's nudge these over, and then let's nudge these over also. Let's nudge these so that they match that split line. These come out here, these come out here like this. Then these will go here. So what we're going to do is we need to run these edge loops so they run around rather than shooting back. So what we're going to do here is, let's grab those, let's align those up with those like that. So these will go down, down like that, down like that, and then this one, and in fact all of these will go down like that, and then that will go down like so. And what we can do here is we can just join those, and we've got a square there, and hold on, is that a flange surface there? So yeah, let's get rid of that edge one there. Let's just make sure that was a flange. Actually it wasn't, so but it's just a supporting loop, so we can get rid of that. So that one is a supporting loop to that one. Well, not quite, because this is polygon, not sub D, but you know what I mean. Let's see. So we've got a crease there on that edge there. So what we could do, and that crease actually goes all the way around. So this would be a perfect situation to add a bevel weight modifier to that edge. So we're going to grab all of those. Actually, let's go down on this one because we've got a little bit of a inconsistency there. So we're going to grab that one, we're going to grab this one, and we're going to get rid of these. We're going to get rid of that one as well, and we're going to go all the way down the side and up here. Change that to bevel weight 1, and then let's grab those ones and slide those into that one. Let's make sure that we've got bevel weight all the way across there, and let's finally finish this one and the outer one. Bevel weight 1, bevel weight 1, and we could loop those around here as well, but I don't think we should. Instead, what we're going to do is just run it out here somewhere, I guess. Let's grab those, pull those out, and then what we want to do here is we want to just loop these so they go around here towards the back. So let's see, subdivision modifier on, oops, undo. Let's align those with our guide there, and then we're just gonna flow these edges around a little bit nicer, so they'll go around here to the back. Maybe that's gone a bit too far there, and it's actually going to be flush at the back, so this concave bit is going to wash out here at the back a little bit like we did on the outer bit here. Let's see how we're looking relative to that. So these will maybe just wash out there like that, but what we could do now is we can start working side view. It's quite difficult to see, so let's select selector. Let's select, right, do we need these ones? What are they doing? No, we do not. So can we select all of those with an L? Yes, we can. Brilliant, brilliant. We can also get rid of that last loop there. But what we do need to do now is nudge it all forward a little bit so it matches the guide, like so. And then let's grab that outer edge, isolate it, and let's line it up with that guide curve there. So these are going up, these look like they want to go down, but do they? I don't think so. So let's nudge those up. These are going up. These, let's flatten these first and then move them up. And then let's shear them up like so. And then let's nudge them up, move G, up, 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 up. And then these ones, we can also align in Z. And then we shear them down like so. We've got a nice consistent line. Let's bring everything back in. It looks like that scoop is a little bit drastic there, obviously. So what we're going to do here is just nudge all of this, and actually we can do our world famous scaling technique here. So click on our scaler and then squash it down like that. And what we need to do here is we're going to just make sure that these flow consistently. So this one is our guide. Actually, it's a bit high up there, so let's move that one down. So we want a nice consistent flow. So there's looks like a little bit of a dip just there, which I'm not sure if we want that dip. And then the next row, which is this one, so we want that to flow somewhat relative to the outer edge, which is that one there. So this distance here should be either consistent the whole way through, or if it does taper, it should only taper in one direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to have consistent here, consistent here, and then as it runs towards the side, it will taper down. So let's turn off our scaling quickly, and let's look 3/4 view. And so these need to go up, and these need to go up, and then these need to go up like so, and these need to all go up as well like that, because that's the side of the bonnet there. And actually that just need to just double check what that crease feature is supposed to be doing. Oh, it goes, so we've got a little scallop in there that goes into the air outlet on the front, so that's okay. But what we do need to make sure is that the scallop is tapering in one direction only. So at the moment it's this distance or this height, it gets taller here, and then it goes back to nothing at the back. So what we really want ideally is for it to be lowest at the front. So we'll just drop these down a touch, maybe that one a little bit as well. Actually, is that the side? That's fine, I think, actually. And then these will go up, and then make sure that it's only tapering in one direction. So at the back here, it's narrowest, it's shallowest. There we go. And I wonder if we need another edge just in there, just so we don't have a flat spot, which I think, yeah, we do just there. Okay, so let's fix these as well. Oops. And let's bring that one in, bring that one over. Looks like we're dipping down before we go up again, so let's fix that. There we go, there we go. Okay, good. And there we go. Again, I'm just looking at like general flow between vertices and edges and where they are relative to their neighbours, etc, etc. And let's grab these in side view, move them up so we've got a nicer transition there. Let's move these over and up so it doesn't go big, big, tiny. And then let's move those over like that. Let's move those over. And let's have a look. So we've got a little bit of a dip just there. There we go, up, and that one goes up a little bit as well there, good, right. And there we go, and I think that is ready for further inspection. Right, let's bring everything back in. Let's bring, oops, let's turn it off. Let's bring, what's that there? Is that crashing through something? Right, let's select all, merge by distance. No, actually we don't want to do that. So these two, these aren't connected, so that gives us a sharp edge there, which is what we want. However, what we don't want is a gap in there. So if we just do merge by distance between those, and let's see if we can build a square there. Let's get rid of that edge. Let's get rid of that edge. Sorry, not a square, a face. It's the same thing really though. So let's grab these. That one and that one, and let's put a face in there. Okay, that's good. That's good. And let's get rid of this guide, put it into helpers. Let's see how that's looking. That is looking a-okay. So let's keep our petrol cap, just so we've got a little bit of detailing. Select that. Let's change tries to quads, and then let's merge by distance, and then let's grab that edge in there. Let's put that to one group, and then let's rename that group shrink, and then let's select inverse. Let's put that into a new group, and let's call this one offset. And then let's grab that inner one, and then let's change pivot position to bounding box. Let's do scale inboard like this. Actually, no, let's not do that. Let's do an offset instead. Let's go 0.002. There we go, good. And then let's go tools, bridge, and of course it hasn't done it how we want it, so let's just do manual facing, and then let's just have a look, see if it's added that to, yes it has, okay good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to delete the custom split normal data, and then let's add a shrink wrap modifier to that. So shrink wrap, and let's make this the target, and let's do that projected in Z, negative and positive, and let's make it shrink, so it's only applying that to the vertices which are in this vertex group. And then let's rename that to shrink wrap 0, and then let's duplicate that, and then on this one we'll call that shrink wrap, let's say 5. And then let's change the vertex group to offset, and then let's change that to 5 mil, which is a bit too much. Let's change it to 2. There we go. And then let's add a subdivision modifier to that, and let's put the subdivision modifier where it was, and then let's just rip that there. Is it rip or is it tear? Okay, good. And let's see how that's looking. Okay, it's looking good. Let's just quickly, cursor selected, select all, origin to 3D cursor, and then let's add a mirror modifier to that, because there was 2 petrol caps on there, which is actually interesting that it has petrol caps at all, considering it's got no shut lines, but they've put a petrol cap split line on it, which is odd. Anyway, and I think, other than joining these up, which won't be difficult, and in the interest of sparing you some time, because it's nothing new, I think I'm going to just finish this very special live stream there. As always, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Let me know what you think and what you'd like to see and what you don't like to see, and just have a really good day. All right, thanks. Okay, bye.